Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Hey, they're live from the Law 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air. Good to have you along today. Mary and I are taking over.
We are.
Mike, once again, had a late night last night, if I'm not mistaken. And that's why he's not here today. Great to see you. And, of course, the Day Trader Trio's over there. What's up, boys?
Hey, 1, 2, 3.
Bam, there you go.
It's sweater weather, apparently.
It is sweater weather.
It is cold and rainy outside.
My ex-wife asked for a heavy sweater for Christmas, and here's what she got. I look different than back then. Not so much of a heavy sweater anymore. Howie Font from New York City is our lead analyst. He's here to talk about Bitcoin and a bunch of other stuff that we don't understand.
Yes.
Howard, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Is it cold in New York City yet?
Well, a big old howdy to it.
Hey.
Oh man, I thought I'd get out of it.
Even with Mike gone, we get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, I have to honor the man. Yeah, it's freezing. I don't like it. I need more global warming, not less.
You want more climate change?
Yeah, I think it was 29 last night when.
My goodness.
Wow.
Well, the funny part, it was 89 just on Friday, right? So isn't that how the weather changes over there? It goes from being summertime to wintertime almost immediately?
Yeah, the best is when you have a nice long fall. That did not happen. We had a warm fall and then it just reverted.
Can we talk about Bitcoin? What's interesting about Bitcoin and global and digital currencies is that most of us keep on waiting for the shoe to drop on when we're going to use it to purchase things. And when you see over and over again online where we have folks accepting digital currency as payment, we start thinking, well, here it comes. But it really is an investment at this point, right? I mean, isn't that how you look at it?
I mean, especially for Bitcoin, I think you have to analogize that very strongly with something like gold and store value and long-term holdings, not for, I don't think it's even built for just everyday transactions. There's going to be other projects like Solana that are really, really good at that. And that's what's going to help tokenize securities and stocks and bonds and help people move real estate without title insurance and all that stuff. But Bitcoin is gold.
So here's my question for you. If the Dow Jones is based upon 30 of the highest, most traded stocks in the country, if the S&P 500 is to be a swath of what we're investing in, and the NASDAQ is tech heavy, so those three indices represent something. What does Bitcoin represent in terms of an investment strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it represents really, really risk-on assets, and that's kind of what we're talking about with the moves today. So, if you think things are really, really bad, you buy bonds or stay in U.S. Treasuries or even in cash. But as you think things are okay and the market's humming along, let me buy more of this S&P 500. I'll buy a little QQQ. We talk about this stuff all the time, some of the indexes, and you push out the risk. Well, one of the riskiest things you can do is buy Bitcoin because of the volatility. It goes up and down so much. It's been really rewarding in the long run, but if you needed the cash at some of the lows, Bitcoin has had some pretty tremendous drops as well. Right now, we are from their 6-month peak. They hit $125,000 a couple months ago, and we're at 93 now. So that's quite the drop. Over 30%.
Hey, Howie, you mentioned a second ago about Bitcoin maybe not being used as a currency. Do you not see that happening? Because I feel like we talked to Alon Gorin and other people that it's potentially going to be used like that. But
Alon talks about digital currency as a whole, not necessarily Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Mary, your rainy day fund could definitely be in Bitcoin if you're worried, to the extent you're worried about inflation, if you want cash underneath the mattress, that kind of thing, that can all go in Bitcoin. But as far as I'm going to use Bitcoin to buy this smoothie and then I'm going to go live my day just paying via Bitcoin.
Well, no, I mean that's interesting. I mean that's important designation,
right.
Because and mainly because if you think in terms of using it for transactional, you should be looking at Ethereum probably differently, or even a Dogecoin differently than you look at Bitcoin. So again, my question is, if you're going to have a rounded out portfolio, okay, so let's talk about stocks, bonds, okay, you've got some real estate in there, okay, you've got some precious metals in there. Does this fall into that risk category of to where you would have a certain percentage of your overall nest egg into things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, so on and so forth? Or is this just something separate to sort of stand by and paper trade with until it figures itself out?
Well, I definitely think that it depends on where you are in your kind of retirement nest egg life cycle. 20-year-olds definitely should be buying and just sitting in it and letting it go up. Don't sell any, don't get nervous, buy a little.
Is this a dollar cost averaging sort of thing?
I think you can dollar cost average into this. I wouldn't let Bitcoin be more than 5 or 10%. I mean, 10%'s a lot. Maybe max out on 5% of your holdings and then do your stuff in the market. But if you're not comfortable with it, I don't think it's something everyone has to do. I think it will pay off in the long run for you, but I understand that it makes people nervous. One of the reasons why it's a problem now is because we're seeing the market go down, and we're seeing the first thing that happens when the market goes down is people are pulling out of these risky assets, and there's a lot of leverage in these markets. So you got to be able to withstand big swings.
Yeah.
You said a 20-year-old to get into it. I mean, theoretically, they're not making that much money. So how much would they put in if they're just starting? I mean, because I have almost a 20-year-old coming up.
Well, it depends. I mean, does she have any debt? Number one, does she have savings in the account? Does she have her expenses covered?
I mean, she's mostly still living on me, so.
Well, so
you know.
But
not a lot of investing to do there except in herself.
Right.
I mean, but no, I mean that seriously. But then, Mary, you should not think of it in terms of how much Bitcoin or how much anything. It's a percentage of her life, of her existence.
Okay.
If she, the first job happens, I have. Any debts I have to pay off those. I have my bills. Okay, so I'm net saving, let's say, I don't know, 20% at first. It's low. I'm going to put a lot of that in a rainy day fund. 6 months later, I'm not putting it in a rainy day fund anymore. Now I'm putting some in the market. And I've been doing that for another 6 months. Hey, I do like this Bitcoin thing. Let me put, 10% of my savings for another 6 months into Bitcoin dollar cost average. I mean, that's how this is a long compounding disciplined practice that people have to do, and it's boring is why a lot of people don't do it.
They don't learn it.
What has happened basically? But so hasn't Bitcoin dropped about 30%, 40% from its peak here recently?
Yeah. So what happens is what we talk about is you never lose money until you sell the stock. If you didn't sell, you didn't lose anything. The one case where that's not true is when investing is more like shorting, where you're risking in the stock going to infinity and you're insolvent and in jail and all that, is when you use leverage. If you borrow money to invest, which is what leverage is, people have margin accounts, that can be very dangerous, and you see that in Bitcoin.
So buyer beware, but you have to pay attention. You can't be asleep at the wheel on this. Howie, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Bye,
Howie. Our lead analyst to our lead entrepreneur coming up. Troy Hazard coming up on the show. Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com. See you in a minute. Big Biz Show continues. We are brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advanced. Better science, better results. Starbucks coffee, Bloomin' Brands, and of course Taylor Guitars. And normally from Down Under, we've got Troy Hazard, but now he's I don't know what you call South Africa. It's not really down under, but it's a long ways away. It's a 24-hour flight or something like that. Troy, how are you, brother? Good to talk to you, man.
Oh, good, mate. How you doing?
Good. So you are at the Kruger National Park. Is that 7-star hotel thing? Is that where?
Yeah. So we are. We're just outside of Kruger National Park in a little place called Oase. It's a fabulous resort as part of the 7-star lodges network. And we've been here for 4 or 5 days. And of course, we've come in to see the animals and have the kids experience that, and something that's pretty much life-changing. But along the way, as I do, I have to ask the commercial questions. How does this run as a business?
You turned this thing into a business, didn't you? It's just what you do. So
it's just what I do. Yeah, so I had a wonderful drive around the property with one of the leadership here yesterday, and I started asking a bunch of questions about how this all works. Here's the most interesting part. You buy the land with the animals. So we're a property that's 530 hectares, I think, which is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Only 7 villas on this property,
wow.
All spaced about 200 metres apart. And they buy this property with the inventory of the animals, like you buy a house with furniture, except it moves.
Right.
That was fascinating to me. And the interesting part was that they've made the whole place so distinctive because they've built these villas in the middle of the bush. Like, we got greeted by an impala coming home last night on our front doorstep. Bailey, our daughter, was in her room this afternoon and a giraffe walked straight past her floor-to-ceiling windows, only metres away. That is distinctive. And I think that's one of the things that makes this whole concept of game and game parks like this really quite work. And then the ICE guys they've nailed it in spades, and we've been really enjoying that. It's been fabulous.
So what's interesting is the hotel business in the US and abroad. You'd think that if you go to a Four Seasons or even go to a Hilton, that it's a Hilton hotel or Four Seasons, but actually they're the companies running the property. The folks that own the property are one place. The folks this is often why you'll see a Four Seasons turn into a Park Hyatt,
right,
or something like that, because it's a different operator. Same thing. Is this the same model here?
Well, it is for many of them, but this one is actually owned by an Australian family, and they bought the property some time back and then decided to turn it into this fabulous little lodge. And that's unusual because it's owner-operated, a small family unit, a handful of local staff, which are quite spectacular at each of their jobs, which is different to many of the chains. And I think that's part of the thing that makes it special, because it has a personal feeling to it, and that in itself gives that emotional connection to why you're here. It's one thing is to come for the animals, but to be immersed in that connection with the animals is quite extraordinary.
You know, what's interesting to me is I wish people would not be fish anymore and not think like sheep anymore. And I see people planning vacations and such, and it doesn't occur to them that they don't have to go down the regular road, where you could actually go through a different path to whereby it's a little more personalized experience. Because isn't that where we're all heading towards here? I mean, in terms of hospitality, it comes down to a personalized. This is what you have there. This is not a mass inclusive thing. This is a personalized experience for you, correct?
Exactly, and you've met my wife Dominique, and she is a former travel agent, and so she spends days on this stuff looking for that exact experience. She did it with Antarctica for us a couple of years back. She did it with Paris, only last year. She's done these amazing jobs of finding things that are off the beaten track, that are unique, and that are typically run by families or smaller operators that really understand that connection is still important. I mean, you know how much I travel as a speaker, sure. and I spend so many days on the year and have done for 30 years now. It's get up, go to the hotel, go to sleep, get up, get back on the aircraft, go home. It's really dull and uninteresting. So to find these sort of unusual places, it's a talent for her. She's a wizard, and it's also just an amazing experience for the family.
Troy, I was actually going to ask you about that. How did you find this place? You just answered it, your wife. But how does the normal person? How did this property put themselves out there and market themselves? Because it does sound, I was just thinking, I saw a friend take a safari vacation, and I wouldn't even know the first place to start, how to find this place.
It's time and energy, and she really is a wizard. And Dom usually starts a conversation with her legs crossed, sitting on our bed saying, okay, so I've found something, hear me out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but what's interesting is, so I've got a good friend of mine who is going to Japan with his family for, I think, 12 or 14 days in the holidays. And what he's doing, he's not just going to, like my daughter and her husband went to Japan on their honeymoon. And of course, these kids figured out the cheapest way to get the coolest stuff. And they used AI to do it. And they ended up staying in a place for $300. It looked like a $1,500 a night It's sweet. I mean, if you look at the pictures, like I've never even been in a hotel room like that before. But what's interesting about my friend is he's taking his family, and what he did was he went on Perplexity, which is something we've been introduced to by Dan Negroni. It's part of an AI platform that works right along ChatGPT, and basically said what is the most non-inclusive, in other words, not one size fits all experience that we can have in Japan, but still want a five-star experience. And unfortunately, he has the resources to do it. So he found this thing called the Amman hotel tour. So Amman is a hotel chain, which is a very high hotel chain. Think of Four Seasons here. I would suppose think of the Ritz here in ours. And it's a 3-city Japan tour where they spend 4 days at each hotel, and it includes things like learning how they make sushi rice, or learning how sake is made, or having a sushi experience, or going and seeing some of the. But the interesting part is it only costs about 20% more than had they just booked the things. But now this is an individualized thing where they've got a tour guide and all. I think it's just about thinking outside the box, and maybe AIs could be part of the key. Is maybe making use or taking advantage of some of the other search engines out there, right, Troy?
Well, that's part of it, yes. And look, Dom does the same thing with us. And in particular, for this event, it's about educating the kids and giving them that wonderful experience. So part of her requests was we go for a bushwalk every morning with one of the guides, and he introduces them to different animals, different trees, different plants, different dung, all sorts of stuff. And look, he's been a fabulous resource for us and a great education piece as well. If you don't ask for it, if you don't search for it, you probably won't find it. And AI is certainly one of the tools that Dom uses. But seriously, it's just her just bashing it out, looking for stuff that doesn't exist in the mainstream.
Well, the other thing too is you say here, it doesn't matter how flash your logo is. There's an experience here. But as on a business side, let me give music an example. You don't have to be Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift to make a crazy good living in music. Think in terms of let's see, Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Big hits in the mid-90s. That guy's doing $4 million a year playing in front of probably 50 crowds of 600 people all year long, 2-3 times a week. These guys, without anybody knowing who they are, you don't have to shoot for notoriety. You have to shoot for a good business model, right? Isn't that the moral of the story?
It is, and it's the referrals, and it's the reviews, and it's all the stuff that sits behind that says, you've got to try this, it's amazing, and you trust in others that have been there before you.
We're coming to Oasis. We're heading down there, buddy. Thanks, pal. Troy Hazard on vacation. So this is how he could write this off, by the way. He wrote the whole thing off just because of our TV show.
Smart man.
Brilliant guy. All right. Let's talk about some real estate coming up. Big housing market turning the corner for 2026 is a story. Anna Martinez joins us in just a second here on the Big Biz Show. BigBizShow.com. See you in a minute.
Welcome to Loft 100 Studios, San Diego's Emmy Award-winning production studio, creative hub, and unique private or corporate event space. Host your next corporate or special event in our spacious main room. Utilize a green screen or our 3 million LED lights video wall to create the newest upcoming sales video, or record that podcast or YouTube show that you've been wanting to make happen. Take your creative endeavor to the next level at Loft 100 Studios. Scan the QR code or go to loft100studios.com to book a tour.
Big Biz Show continues. BigBizShow.com. Great to have you on today. Me and Mayor are holding the fort down, thankfully. It's a much better show without Micah. Especially with Amber Martinez, our real estate expert, showing up today. Boy, mortgage rates are decreasing and inventory is growing. And the future's so bright in your business, you got to wear shades. What do you think?
We are hoping to see those rates drop just a little bit more in December.
Okay, let's see. In January, we were at between 7% and 7.1% on a 30-year fixed mortgage rate. Mm-hmm. Right now, as of last week, we're just a little above. We're a little above 6.2, 6.3. What's the real number right now?
We're at like about 6.38.
So that's starting to sound unreasonable again.
Yeah.
But remember when on Kogo Radio, when I was doing afternoon drive there, and Mike was doing mornings on sports radio just down the hall, we were doing an endorsement for a mortgage guy locally here in San Diego, we'd say if your mortgage is not in the 2s, you need to refinance. Remember those days, like
wow.
the 2.9%. So if you look at the hockey stick of it going down, we're a year, it's gone down roughly 1 percentage point. That means it's going to be 5 years before we're back in the 2s. Does it move faster than that in your experience once it starts moving? Because remember, they shut the economy off like a light switch.
Okay, so when they shut it down, it stopped all our numbers, and it's really hard for us to know exactly where we stand. But the inventory is up. People are definitely out there trying to buy. The houses are sitting a little bit longer, but right now there are creative ways to make those rates come down even more.
Well, talk about a 50-year mortgage.
Okay.
Because because they're talking about a 50-year mortgage.
Whoa.
So now there's that 50-year mortgage opportunity that's out there.
You have to be under the age of 30.
Yes.
Because they're not going to, listen, if you're staring down the barrel of 50 years old, nobody's going to give you a 50-year mortgage, are they?
No, and on top of it, okay, so what it's going to do, it's going to drop your monthly rate, right? But in the long run, you're sitting there and you're trying to build equity, you're trying to build money, and you're not. You're just paying on your principal. If the rates were to drop a half a point, you would be at the equivalent of where you're paying at your 50-year your 50-year loan. You don't want to do that. It's better to be at a 30-year. I don't know that I stand behind the 50-year. It's not the best program to get into.
So right now, if you have a $3,000 a month monthly budget for your mortgage across the country, you can pretty much afford $25,000 more per house because of the mortgage rates dropping down. Going down from 7 something to 6 something allows you to buy a house that's $25,000 more, if you want to think of it in terms of that. The other piece of this, though, is even the buyer-seller market. You got more buyers entering the market, and now you've got more inventory coming up. So that's going to even out prices a little bit. And I know you were based upon San Diego here. You might be watching us in New York City. You might be listening to us overseas. But the long story short is, are the expensive parts of the country like California, New York, Texas, Hawaii, are those being affected equally, or is it different across the country in terms of how prices?
Right now it's equally. If there are really higher priced homes, they're sitting in the market just a little bit longer. The lower priced are definitely flying off the shelf faster. Condos seem to be sitting a little bit longer. People don't know with the rate and with the HOAs, sometimes it just doesn't make sense.
So the Palos Verdes fires here in the West Coast, up in Malibu, pulled out, hundreds of thousands of people out of their homes. I thought that you would see a boom in San Diego real estate and in NorCal real estate, or even in Santa Barbara real estate, it's talking about the West Coast, because those people have to go somewhere. And between permitting, it's going to take 3 to 5 years to rebuild anything. Yeah. At that point, they're not going to want to live in the area anyway. Do we see any feed through? Because I know that the rental, people talking about rentals, for high-end rentals, went up. What about, did you see a blip in your sales because of that?
I did get a few people that came down from the fire situation. They needed temporary housing. Some of them were buying the 1-2 bedroom condos just to get in and to have somewhere. But now they are starting to move back up. They want out. They want to go back to home. What I am seeing, though, are the people whose homes are not selling. They are pulling them off of the market. They're delisting them.
What happens when you do that? What happens when you if you're on the market, let's say, for 90 days, and you take it off the market? Because you don't want, this kind of people don't, if you're 90 days, it's almost like, okay, what's wrong?
What's wrong with it?
You lose negotiative power, right?
Yes.
How long do you keep it off the market before you put it back on if you don't want to rent it? Let's say they would want to sell it overall, but they want to, let's dip our toe back in the water later. Or they keep those records for a while that says this was on the market for 90 days previously. They just put it back in the market.
You can see it. We can see it when they put it back on. We can see it instantly. Yes. They're not calling them withdrawals anymore. They're just taking it off of the market as fast as they can.
Are people, so you said renting, are they also doing Airbnb or?
Yes. They're just trying to see that, okay, they're not making the money. The house is sitting there. Why not make some kind of money off of the rental? The rental is paying sometimes more than what their mortgage are.
When you represent on the seller side, when you have a house that has income coming in from Airbnb, Is that a selling point nowadays? Like,
Yes,
it is.
absolutely.
Like remember, like air conditioning, swimming pool, extra bedroom. Is that also a thing?
Okay, it's how people become rich. They are buying properties. It's the way to grow your wealth.
You always talk about that.
Well, I mean, there's only two ways to get wealthy in this country. You either got to own a business, or stock in a business, or real estate. There's only two ways. Buying real estate, I mean, I got a friend of mine who monetizes every bit of his real estate by moving out of his house every summer. I'm to the point where I think I should move out every June and every December for racing season. Because honestly, because you live in North County, San Diego, the horse guys need a place to stay and they pay good money for that. I just didn't realize that it was an asset like an extra bedroom or an extra bathroom or air conditioning.
Oh, it's huge. It's absolutely huge depending on what the season is. My parents, they build horse racetracks all over the world, and they definitely, the people come in for the season. They're willing to pay top dollar, especially to be close to the racetrack.
Amber, before you get out of here today, tell me about like recent transactions of yours. Like what's a typical transaction you're seeing right now for you guys?
It's anything under 2 million. People aren't.
Could you imagine anything under 2 million?
Under 2 million.
Remember the Beverly Hillbillies? They paid almost $1 million for their house.
And
so under $2 million.
Under 2 million, there are ways to get creative with the financing. The houses that have been sitting, those sellers are looking for offers. Right now, you can come in under market price. You can come in with a lower offer.
So there's no more. You put your house up for sale and people are bidding, or you're getting $100,000 over asking price, and they want.
Not now. Not right now. That is expected to happen.
Really?
This coming. Just because
spring. There's so many people coming back into the market, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Her name's Amber Martinez. Listen, I need to have a real estate update from you.
I need to come in here for half an hour. I have so much stuff to tell you.
Amber Martinez, how do people get a hold of you? You're in Southern California.
Yes.
But people can contact you by going to ambermartinez.firstteam.com. Is that it?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for coming in, kiddo.
Thank you for having me.
More Big Biz coming up. Stand by. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show, BigBizShow.com, 80 million TV homes strong in 175 countries thanks to BizTV, American Life Network, Bloomberg, American Forces Network. Big hello to our daytator trio over there, myself, Sully, and Mary Burt Godwin. Mike Costa, of course, recovering from his birthday week last week.
That's what it is.
A little too much Slim Jim and a little too much Funyun going on. Matt Fisch is the CEO of a company called AEye. It's really interesting. It's not the AI that you think, it's AEye. And they develop high-performance software for LIDAR detection and radar. So you know what LIDAR is?
No.
It's like radar, but LIDAR. It's what makes, here's a very, very basic thing that Matt taught me a long time ago. When you're driving and you have cruise control on, and it detects the car in front of you, that is a form of LIDAR. That's a very fundamental form and much sort of less of what these guys are doing. Matt, great to see you, man. Are you in San Diego? Are you back home in the middle of the country, or where can we find you right now?
Hey, thanks for having me on again, guys.
Sure.
Back home here in Silicon Valley, we're at the heart of the company, so good to be here.
Talk about, I gave a horrible analogy there, but your Foresight intelligent sensing platform is much different than what we talk about in the old days of just being able to, or cruise control sensing the car in front of us. Talk about, just give us an overview of what you guys are doing, so for the people who haven't seen you before.
Yeah, exactly. Well, many people use intelligence or intelligent systems like ChatGPT. Imagine if ChatGPT could see, for example, and we give that vision to machines in essence. So, and one of the things that's pretty incredible about the product we announced earlier this year called Apollo, we can actually enable machines to see up to 1 kilometer away. Wow. Imagine what you could do if you could see 1 kilometer.
It's, what's interesting is if you think in terms of the history of battles and such, the minute the opposition went up 100 feet in the air, changed the entire history of the world in terms of who is winning wars and such. When you can see 1 kilometer in front of you, and this is currently, we think of radar, we think in terms of flight and such, and the advantage flight has, but we don't have that advantage on the ground until now, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, I loved your analogy about the automated cruise control. What LIDAR does is, in essence, combines the long range that you can see in a radar solution, but also gives you the crispness of vision like a camera. So it combines the best of both worlds, and it allows you to not only see far, but know exactly what the heck you're looking at. Is it a tire in the road or something else?
Is this what Waymos use and or driverless cars are using these?
You can definitely see LIDAR systems on the roof of the Waymo.
Yeah.
Looks like a little police light on the top. Absolutely, that's LIDAR in action.
Wow.
What if you talk about your basic business structure and who your basic client is and who you're reaching out, talk about that for us for a little bit for the folks who don't know much about AI.
Right. Our primary engagement is with the automotive industry. I think it was a great call out with regards to Waymo as an example. But LIDAR brings the ability for the first time in many, many years to, at a reasonable cost, affordable cost, to give the vehicles that we drive every day on the street the added safety of being able to see that far. By the way, LIDAR sees at night. It's not affected by sunlight, so it allows us to first and foremost improve the safety of the cars that you and I drive every day. And then the second step beyond that is what we call hands-off and eyes-off driving, which is work in progress. Waymo is a great example of where you can see that in action, but we see that technology coming to vehicles more broadly in everyday use. So automotive is a key target for us, but there are lots of other cases, traffic intersections, so we reduce the number of pedestrian and vehicle interactions and incidents, commercial vehicles and trucking. It's important to see far because the stopping distance is great, trains, there are military and defense applications as well.
Talk about some of your collaborations and such. You have some deals that are working, some that have been working for a little while now and now are coming to fruition. Talk about that.
Yeah, the big one, obviously, we announced over the summer with NVIDIA.
Yeah.
And they're really working with them has allowed us to greatly expand our reach into the ecosystem. And recently, also over the summer, we signed partnerships with a number of companies, Blue Band, FlashEye, Black Sesame. All of these guys are providing that software glue, if you will, between the artificial intelligence and our vision power to give us access to different markets, automotive being one of them. We know NVIDIA has a big presence there, but in other applications as well, it's important to have different partners that have the right software to allow you to connect into different pieces of the infrastructure.
Well, Matt, for you, it just translates to Optus and Apollo global sales, really? I mean, is that what it comes down to? It's a revenue stream, and a big one.
Exactly. We've seen a huge spike in interest, as we mentioned in our earnings call about a week and a half ago. We've got 12 signed contracts now, a big jump since Q2, a lot more in the pipe. So folks are real excited about giving vision to machines, and that's showing in a strong customer pipeline for us.
You know, your earnings release, it came out just last week. Really good stuff in terms of doubling your customers since the second quarter and getting investor confidence, looking at share and market cap. Let's talk about manufacturing though, because that's a big piece of this thing, because you've expanded manufacturing capacity, and that has been obviously post-COVID the biggest concern of all companies in terms of supply chain and such. You guys seem to have slayed that dragon a bit. It looks like it's all good news in that department, correct?
Absolutely. We did announce an expansion of our partnership with our Tier 1 manufacturer, LIDAR. They're an automotive qualified partner, and we did expand the capacity of our production line to be able to produce up to 60,000 units to sort of keep pace or keep ahead of that demand we see incoming. The great thing about LIDAR, seasoned global automotive partner. They check all the boxes for the strict automotive requirements. And not only that, but they're very resilient. They can move manufacturing to fit the evolving geopolitical situation. Great partnership.
Well, Matt, it's always great to have you on. Next time you're in San Diego here this year, I want you in studio. And of course, we're going to see more of Matt coming up in the new year here. But buddy, great stuff. Stock symbol LIDAR. AEye is the company. AEYE is how you spell that. You can go to AEYE.ai. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Stand by. Hey, they're live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. 80 million TV homes strong here in the U.S. Let's not forget Bloomberg El Financiero and Bloomberg EU. And also American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. Sully here, Mary Burt Godwin there, and of course Mike Costa, still sleeping off his birthday week last week. We are brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advance, better science, better results. Starbucks Coffee, Lumen Brands, and of course Taylor Guitars. And I'm happy to announce my good friend and colleague and regular on the show, Dr. Jonathan Javitt, joins us again. He's the founder director of NRX Pharmaceuticals, chief scientific officer once again. And I have to say, what a terrific press release that came out just yesterday about revenues and about cash in the bank and about what you guys are doing as a company. Could you get us up to date, since we haven't seen you for a little while? Talk to us about what you guys are doing there at NRX and specifically with Hope and such.
A couple of interesting things have happened in the last few weeks. And we've told you for a year that we were going to open clinics to focus on bringing these therapies right to patients, because unless we can see the patients, unless we can engage with the patients, just building the drugs doesn't do it. But the other thing that's happened is over the last year, the whole scientific world has learned that drugs alone, medicines alone, are not sufficient. If you really want to cure these life-threatening conditions, you need to combine neuroplastic medicines, that is, medicines that make new brain cell connections form in the brain, with transcranial magnetic stimulation with hyperbaric oxygen. If you do that, magic starts to happen. And that was published on November 4th by a group of scientists connected to a company called AMPA. What they showed is when they combined transcranial magnetic stimulation in a one-day protocol, one long day of treatment, with our drug D-cycloserine, what you get is an 87% response.
Wow.
And a 72% remission from severe depression.
Wow.
They put that online. They showed that it works.
So basically, this repairs the brain pathways because it causes neuroplasticity, correct?
That's exactly right.
So in your clinics, hi, by the way, great to see you again.
It's wonderful to see you.
Yeah, wonderful to see you. So at your Hope therapeutics, at these places, people can get this TMS, is that what it's called?
Well, more importantly, we're the first organization in Florida to be doing this one-day treatment.
Okay. And also, do they also get a therapist that they talk to? Do you also extend it into that so it's ongoing treatment besides?
Absolutely.
So they have the medication.
Yeah. these ketamine clinics where you walk in, they give you ketamine and send you out the door. That's not psychiatric care.
Right.
So of course you need the therapy.
Yes.
Of course you need somebody who's going to be guiding you through the process. But the real benefit is coming from the neuroplastic drugs combined with the transcranial magnetic stimulation. And especially in people with PTSD, hyperbaric oxygen has been shown in randomized controlled trials so far to be the only therapy that really impacts combat-related PTSD. This was shown in Israel by the Israel Defense Forces in a sham-controlled trial where people didn't know whether they were getting the hyperbaric therapy or they were just in the chamber but not getting the therapy. And that's the only way to do science.
His name is Jonathan Javitt, Dr. Jonathan Javitt with NRX Pharmaceuticals, stock symbol NRXP. You guys have been expanding the NRX 101 pipeline pretty significantly. You talked about that in your press release. Talk about Ketafree, talk about NRX 100 and the arc of that story in this neuroplasticity dialogue here.
So ketamine is a highly neuroplastic drug. It's an incredibly important drug for inducing remission from suicidal ideation, from depression, from PTSD, but it's really not a drug that we think people should be getting long-term. It's neurotoxic, it kills brain cells, it's addictive, it's hallucinogenic. It's not a long-term drug, it's an induction drug, and that's how we're using it. NRX 101, on the other hand, which involves a molecule called D-cycloserine, is a drug that can be used long-term. So if you think of the NMDA pathway, ketamine is kind of like putting a cork in a pipe. Cycloserine is more like turning the faucet. And more importantly, at low doses, cycloserine is now shown in randomized controlled trials to double the effectiveness of transcranial magnetic stimulation.
Wow.
It's kind of like fertilizing the field before you plant the seeds.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at Josh Brown's work from Harvard, and what you'll see is that, in a sense, the D-cycloserine opens the pathway, makes it susceptible to treatment with transcranial magnetic stimulation. And in randomized controlled trials, you've seen a doubling of that TMS effect.
Doctor, can I ask, this affects not all of our military, but military personnel and people all over the country. And are insurance companies coming on board with all of it? Because it sounds very expensive, all of these different things. And I would hope that insurance companies are seeing the importance of all of this and that they're going to be on board.
Well, insurance companies routinely pay $10,000 or more for a year of treatment with an antidepressant pill. So the amount of money insurance companies are paying is already there. And we all know that these conditions are incredibly important to insurance companies. The question is, for the same amount of money, can you come up with a treatment paradigm that works right away? And that works better because we know that antidepressant pills have about a 30% remission rate.
What's interesting is we see the documentary about NRX here on BizTV, American Life Network and Center Post, and you're going to see a new edit version. Devin Doan and Jared Coleman in our creative team, along with Jonathan's team, are putting together a whole new spin on this in terms of neuroplasticity. I got to ask you, in terms of the way things are going, you guys have money to complete funding for drug development. Things are looking great. As I mentioned, you haven't looked this good as a company in a long time. And future looks really great. What are you most looking forward to for 2026 as we end out 2025?
Well, I think by the end of 2026, we're certainly expecting to have the ANDA approval for ketamine. I think we've got a good shot at having a new NDA approval specifically for ketamine as a drug to treat suicidal ideation. That's never been shown by any drug. There is a nasal form of ketamine where the label says it doesn't decrease suicidal ideation. But more importantly, this whole new discovery that was made, that cycloserine more than doubles the effectiveness of TMS, you're going to see us rolling that out immediately under what's called FDA expanded access to doctors and patients who need it right away. and you're going to see us moving it forward through the FDA approval process.
And Jonathan Javitt, so great to see you again. I'm glad that we're going to have you back on the air on a regular basis again. Stock symbol NRXP, NRX Pharmaceutical. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it, as usual. Fantastic news on the press releases coming out there. You should take a look at the press release.